The wedding rehearsal dinner was at the country club, and I was seated at the far end of the table near the bathrooms. The reject table, as my sister Vanessa liked to call it. "I'm so glad everyone could make it," Vanessa said, standing with her champagne glass. "Tomorrow is going to be perfect. Thanks to Mom and Dad for making this happen, and thanks to everyone who contributed to making my dream wedding come true." She didn't look at me. I'd contributed $43,000 over the past 8 months. Dress, venue deposit, catering, flowers. Every time I'd been told it was the last thing they'd need. It was never the last thing. "She only has a retail job," Mom said to Aunt Linda, loud enough for half the table to hear. "But she helps where she can." Sweet, really. Vanessa and Marcus have real careers, so they can't be expected to pay for everything themselves. I looked down at my plate. Vanessa was a pharmaceutical sales rep who lived beyond her means. Marcus, her fiancé, was a mid-level manager at a logistics company. Combined, they made maybe $180,000 a year and spent twice that. I did work retail. I was the head of retail operations for Meridian Luxury Group, overseeing 473 stores across North America. But when I tried to explain my actual job title, Mom had said, "So you work at stores. That's retail, sweetie." She wasn't wrong technically. She just didn't understand the scope. What nobody knew was that I'd started my own investment company 5 years ago. Sterling Capital Management now controlled $3 billion in assets. Last month, we'd acquired a controlling stake in a regional banking chain. The deal would be announced publicly next week, right after Vanessa's wedding. "Abby," Dad said, gesturing me over. "Come take a photo with your sister." I stood and walked to where Vanessa was posing with her bridesmaids. She made space for me at the very edge of the group, her smile tight. "Try to smile naturally," she whispered. "You always look so awkward in photos." I smiled. The photographer snapped the shot. "Got it," he said. "Beautiful family." I returned to my seat and checked my phone. An email from my CFO, "Bank merger finalized. Press release scheduled for Sunday 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wall Street Journal running front page Monday." Tomorrow was Saturday. Vanessa's wedding was at 2 p.m. Perfect timing. The next morning I was getting ready in my hotel room when Mom called. "Abby, emergency. Vanessa's wedding planner just told us there's an outstanding balance of $68,000. The venue won't let the ceremony proceed unless it's paid." "I thought you paid the venue months ago." "We paid the deposit. We were supposed to pay the rest yesterday, but with everything going on we forgot. Can you cover it? Just until we can move money around." $68,000? "I know it's a lot, but you have those credit cards. Use one of those. We'll pay you back after the honeymoon." The credit cards. My backup cards that I kept for business expenses. Mom had asked to borrow one years ago for an emergency. I'd given her a card with a $50,000 limit, thinking she'd use it once and return it. She'd never returned it. "Mom, I need that card back. Today." "Don't be difficult. We'll return it after the wedding. Just authorize the payment. I'm texting you the venue's payment portal." She hung up before I could respond. I sat on the hotel bed and opened my banking app. Not my personal checking account. My business account linked to Sterling Capital Management. I pulled up the credit card Mom had. The one she thought had a $50,000 limit. Current balance, $847,392. My hands went cold. I scrolled through the charges. Furniture, jewelry, car payments, spa treatments, trips to Miami and Aspen, designer handbags, restaurant bills. Years of charges. Hundreds of transactions. I pulled up the other business cards I kept for different entities. 3 more were missing from my wallet. I checked their balances. Card 2, $423,183. Card 3, $619,847. Card 4, $1,247,293. Total, $3,137,715. They'd charged over $3 million to my corporate cards. I called my head of security at Sterling Capital. "James, I need an emergency audit of all company credit cards. Specifically the ones issued to me personally." "On a Saturday? What's wrong?" "I think my family has been using them without authorization. I need a full transaction history, video surveillance where available, and documentation for fraud charges." How much are we talking? Over 3 million. Silence. Then, I'll have a team on it within the hour. Abby, this is serious. This crosses into major felony territory. I know. Do it anyway. I arrived at the wedding venue at noon. The ceremony wouldn't start for 2 hours, but I needed to see Vanessa. I found her in the bridal suite, surrounded by bridesmaids and a photographer capturing getting ready moments. Abby, she said brightly. You're early. We're not doing sister photos until 1:30. I need to talk to you. Privately. Her smile faltered. Can it wait? I'm kind of busy. No. She sighed dramatically and followed me into the hallway. What? Where are the credit cards Mom borrowed from me? How should I know? As I just checked the statements. Someone has charged over $3 million to them. Her face went pale then recovered. 3 million? Don't be ridiculous. I have the statements. Charges dating back 4 years. Furniture, trips, jewelry. Did you think I wouldn't notice? I don't know what you're talking about. The Miami trip last Christmas. The furniture for your condo. Marcus's Rolex. All charged to my corporate cards. Those were Mom's cards. They were my cards that Mom borrowed. Without permission to give them to you. Well, you never asked for them back. We figured you didn't care. You figured wrong. She crossed her arms. Fine. We'll pay you back. After the honeymoon. We're a little tight right now with wedding expenses. Vanessa, this is over $3 million. So, you have it. You work for some investment company. You're rich. This is nothing to you. You have no idea what my financial situation is. I know you can afford to help your sister. Unless you want to ruin my wedding day by making this a thing. Your wedding day is already ruined. I'm reporting this as fraud. You wouldn't. Watch me. Mom. Vanessa screamed down the hallway. Oh. Abby's trying to ruin my wedding. Mom came rushing from the other room followed by Dad and Marcus. What's going on? Abby's threatening me. On my wedding day. I'm not threatening anyone. I'm informing her that I'm reporting $3 million in fraudulent charges to my credit cards. Mom's face went white. Fraudulent? Abby, don't be dramatic. Those were family expenses. Without my knowledge or authorization. That's fraud. We were going to pay you back. When? You've been charging these cards for 4 years. We didn't realize it was that much, Dad said weakly. You didn't realize $3 million was that much? Those cards had huge limits. We thought you had money to spare. The cards are for my business. Not for family shopping sprees. Marcus stepped forward. Look, we can work this out. What if we set up a payment plan? You can't afford a payment plan for $3 million. You can barely afford this wedding. The wedding is paid for, Mom said defensively. With $68,000 I apparently need to pay right now, according to your call this morning. That's different. That's a loan. Everything is a loan with you. Nothing ever gets repaid. Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. I can't believe you're doing this to me. On my wedding day. Are you really that jealous? Jealous. That I'm getting married and you're still single. That I have a real life and you just have some boring job. You've always been jealous of me. I'm not jealous. I'm protecting my assets from theft. It's not theft when it's family. A woman in an expensive suit appeared in the hallway. Excuse me, I'm looking for Abigail Sterling? Everyone turned. I recognized her. Diane Morrison, president of Coastal Regional Bank, the chain my company had just acquired. That's me, I said. Miss Sterling, I apologize for interrupting, but we have an urgent situation with the merger announcement. Could we speak privately? Mom laughed. Merger announcement? What are you talking about? Diane looked confused. The Sterling Capital acquisition of our banking network. It's being announced tomorrow. Miss Sterling is the CEO. The hallway went silent. CEO of what? Vanessa asked. Sterling Capital Management, Diane said, looking between us. Your sister owns the company that just acquired our bank chain. The deal was $3.7 billion. It's going to be front-page news. I watched the information process on their faces. Confusion, then shock, then horror. Abby's not a CEO, Mom said weakly. She works retail. I do work retail, I said calmly. I'm head of retail operations for Meridian Luxury Group. That's my day job. Sterling Capital is my company. I founded it 5 years ago. You own a billion-dollar company? Dad's voice cracked. A company that manages $3 billion in assets, yes. And apparently a company whose credit cards my family has been stealing from. We didn't know. Vanessa said. You let us think you were broke. I never said I was broke. You assumed it because I don't show off. And because you wanted to believe it so you could feel superior. Diane cleared her throat. I'm sorry, should I come back later? No, I said. What's the urgent situation? The Wall Street Journal wants to run the story early. Tomorrow morning instead of Monday. They're asking for confirmation. The timing with your family wedding. I wanted to make sure you were comfortable with the announcement happening during the event. I looked at Vanessa, at Mom and Dad, at Marcus, who was frantically Googling my name on his phone. Run it, I said. Tomorrow morning. 11 a.m. Abby, no. Mom said. That's during the ceremony. Then people will have something interesting to read while they wait. You can't do this. Vanessa was crying now. Everyone will be talking about you instead of me. You're stealing my wedding day. I'm not stealing anything. Unlike some people, I don't take things that don't belong to me. Miss Sterling, Diane said, there's one more thing. We found irregularities in several accounts at our bank. Accounts under your family members' names with large unexplained deposits. The fraud investigation team flagged them. What kind of irregularities? Large cash deposits, transfers from unknown sources, activity consistent with money laundering. We're required to report it to authorities. Mom grabbed my arm. Abby, please. We can explain. We were just trying to manage the wedding expenses. By laundering money through bank accounts? We weren't laundering anything. We were just moving money around. Whose money? Silence. The credit cards, Dad said finally. We were taking cash advances and depositing them to make it look like we had income. 4 loan applications. I pulled my arm away. You committed fraud to get loans you couldn't afford? We were desperate. And now you're criminal. Marcus's face was ashen. This is going to ruin us. If this gets out. It's already out, Diane said. The investigation started 3 days ago. Federal authorities will likely be contacting you next week. Vanessa collapsed into a chair, sobbing. My wedding is ruined. Everything is ruined. Your wedding isn't ruined, I said. But your fantasy is. The fantasy where you're the successful one and I'm the failure. The fantasy where you can steal from me and call it family support. We didn't know, Mom whispered. We didn't know you had so much. Would it have mattered? You stole when you thought I had little. You would have stolen more if you'd known about the rest. I turned to Diane. Confirm the Wall Street Journal story. Full announcement, tomorrow at 11. Abby, wait. Vanessa grabbed my arm. Please. I'm begging you. Don't let them run the story during my wedding. I'll pay you back every penny. We'll figure out the fraud stuff. Just please, please don't ruin my wedding. I looked at her. At her designer dress that cost $40,000, charged to my card. At her diamonds, also my card. At the desperation in her eyes that had nothing to do with loving me and everything to do with saving face. The story runs, I said. My company doesn't halt major business announcements for family drama. I walked away, leaving them in the hallway. The next day, I sat in the back row of Vanessa's wedding ceremony. At exactly 11:04 a.m., phones started buzzing throughout the venue. The Wall Street Journal alert. Sterling Capital Management acquires Coastal Regional Bank in $3.7 billion deal. Whispers spread through the crowd. People pulled up articles. My photo was on the front page of the business section. The ceremony continued, but nobody was watching. They were reading about me. After the ceremony, during the reception, I was approached by dozens of guests. Business contacts, networking opportunities, congratulations on the acquisition. Nobody asked about the bride. Vanessa stood by the cake, watching people cluster around me, her face a mask of rage and tears. Mom tried to approach me once, but I walked away. At 9 p.m. I left early. I had a board meeting Monday morning to discuss the merger integration. My phone buzzed with a text from Vanessa. I hope you're happy. You ruined the most important day of my life. I blocked the number. Another text from my attorney. Fraud investigation moving forward. Family members likely to face charges. You'll need to give a statement. I responded, schedule it for Tuesday. I reviewed my corporate merger documents one final time before bed. Everything was in order. The acquisition was solid. My company was growing. And my family had learned what happens when you steal from someone who built an empire in silence. They'd charged millions to my cards while calling me the failure. The Wall Street announcement had stopped the ceremony. And I'd finally stopped pretending their approval mattered. 6 months later, I received a wedding invitation in the mail. My cousin Jessica was getting married. At the bottom, a handwritten note. I know things are complicated with the family, but I'd really love for you to come. No expectations, no drama. Just, if you want to. I called her that evening. Jessica, it's Abby. Oh my God, you called. I wasn't sure you'd even open the invitation. I did. And I'll come. On one condition. Anything. No one asks me for money. No one mentions my company. No one treats me differently. I come as your cousin, not as a bank. She laughed. Deal. Abby. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. What you built, how you handled everything. You deserved better than how they treated you. Thanks, Jess. Maybe not all family was broken. Maybe some was worth saving. Just not the parts that only loved what they could take.